If you're looking to proactively grow your MSP, it's inevitable that you'll come up against other competing MSPs. Unlike the referral business that we're all used to, where the level of competition it's there, but it's not strong. It's usually not a key factor in winning the business if someone is referred into you by someone that they trust. If you're reaching out to people that don't know you, there's no trust or rapport built up, there's no prior referral, you're likely to be competing against more MSPs. So in this video, let's explore how and where we can improve how we compete against our competing MSPs. So let's look at the facts. What are we up against? Number one, the MSP space is competitive. You know that. There are a lot of MSPs out there doing the same thing, and most of them are probably doing a reasonable job of it, fixing things when things break. But there's a lot more to it than that. Number two, cultivating new business is tough. Not only because you've got a lot of competition, but because the audience, the customers of MSPs that you want to be marketing to will be loyal, and it takes quite a lot. You need a pretty good straw to break that camel's back to get someone to switch. And number three, differentiating yourself, therefore, isn't a walk in the park. Finding something that stands you apart from your competition, that straw that can break the camel's back to get people to entertain switching to your MSP, why are you better or different and more of a value proposition for them than who they have right now? So let's address those facts. How do we compete? How do we cultivate new business? Then make the most out of the opportunities that we have cultivated, and how do we stand apart from our peers? The core messages that an MSP would use in its marketing are simply not enough anymore. People don't know what good or bad looks like, so they have no reason to question their MSP. Generally, most IT support companies are going to fix a problem when someone needs help. Something's broken, can you fix it? Yeah, great. And for most end users, that's enough. They don't think that they should be getting any more than that, even though we all know and we all pitch in our value proposition that we can deliver an awful lot more. If they don't have any reason to question that because it works, then it's going to take a lot more to be able to open them up. Because those core messages aren't enough anymore, you need something punchy of a proposition. Your initial sales engagement process with a prospect needs to be quite forensic. You need to uncover quite a lot of information to help you propose in the right way. And what do I mean by that? You need to uncover the issues that lie within their business. What operational and commercial challenges do they have that their incumbent MSP fails to address through technology? And because they don't know what good or bad looks like, they probably haven't even comprehended that their MSP could or should be involved in those things. So it's going to take some digging to try and get people to talk about their business and how they work operationally. Because they need something a bit different, you might have to adjust your standard proposition, that standard template proposal that you would use, and stack of services that you would always present as the be all and end all, covering absolutely everything that they need. You might have to change and alter that on a case by case basis, tailoring it to the needs that you see in front of you when engaging that prospect. So when they receive your proposal, if it differs from what they've had in the past, it might not make sense to them. They may disregard it offhand because they don't appreciate the value that's contained within it, or they can't compare apples with apples, sitting your proposal alongside the contract or invoice that they have right now with their current MSP. It's hard for them to appreciate what you're covering and where. You may inadvertently look more expensive because you're offering more value, or their incumbent charges for ancillary services separately. Maybe they're not on the original contract that they have, the contract that they're using to compare like for like with the proposal that you've put in front of them. So be mindful that that stack of services may have to tweak to suit the current pricing model that they have, simply so the prospect can understand it and you have a chance of winning the business. Or maybe that perfect scenario of you selling everything, the full stack, all of the cybersecurity, all of the BCDR, all the bolt-ons that you would want a prospect to have. Maybe it's not appropriate that early on in a relationship to be able to propose all of those elements. Maybe they need to establish more trust and more of a relationship with you before you can upsell those components. So perhaps you just need to sell in the core essentials that they need to address the problems that they have right now against what they have from their incumbent. Another thought, and something that I know the MSP community won't necessarily relish this thought, is competing on price. The world is very different. Things have changed a lot in recent months and years. So there is a need to be more dynamic, to change to the shifting landscape around you, the businesses around you. What are they looking for? What are their priorities and concerns? Rather than necessarily shaping a perfect fit market. Because the market always changes, things are always shifting, so you've got to be prepared to change and adapt with that. And that might mean that your price or your proposition needs to alter. And it might be, as I've just said, altering your proposition to sell in less from the start. So you're not necessarily reducing your price, you're just scaling things up over time, as you probably have done with all of your existing clients. Prices have increased, services have added to the portfolio that they buy from you over months and years, rather than on day one. But where times have changed, IT support is changing. People perhaps value it less because things don't break as often as they used to, or they receive a greater level of support from their SaaS vendors. Buying software on subscription now is including more of a level of service than ever before with software bought off the shelf. So there's a lot of other things at play, not just competing against other MSPs, but the fact that the technology landscape is changing. And that might mean that you need to consider your price point and how you proposition your service to adapt and keep up with that. So while you're working towards that perfection, it might well be worth considering growing your numbers like a rabbit model, where you acquire new customers just like you did in the early days, getting anyone and everyone you can on board to work with to grow the size of your business, get some return on investment from your marketing, and then evolve and cultivate those relationships over time to turn those not so perfect fit customers on day one into perfect fit customers over a period of time.